Hi, my name's Nicola Salter. It's nice to meet you. Welcome to this webinar on redefining your next move. This is for individuals who are looking to step into a new career or create a new business, perhaps, or a new brand, but make a move in terms of something that aligns with their value, a new career, perhaps, that really speaks volumes about who they are and the impact they want to make. I'm hoping that you will get from this webinar the opportunity to look at some new steps and perspectives that perhaps you haven't thought about before you move to that next level of applying for jobs and taking a new step or direction that feels something that's going to be fulfilling for you rather than something that you have to do. So during this presentation, I'm going to give you some pointers, facts, and you're also going to have the opportunity to download my Pivot Clarity checklist, which is on my website. It's a pop-up that you can just add your email and then download this checklist. And it's going to ask you some of the questions that we're talking about today. And if you wish, you can set up a discovery call with me to go through these. It's a free call. And we can sit down, roll up our sleeves, and look at ways in which you can take some of your previous successes and your transferable skills and create a new direction for yourself that is going to bring more fulfillment into your life and accomplish some of those personal goals that you might have. Now, I've been doing this for 25 plus years, working with thousands of people to help them redefine themselves. And so these three takeaways that I'm going to give you hopefully will create a good foundation for you to consider and take the investment in time for yourself to work on before you start applying for jobs or looking at new careers for yourself. So I'm based in Los Angeles. I help women and men elevate into roles and create businesses and opportunities that really reflect their true value and make the impact that they really are looking for, combined with helping you retrain your mindset into more of an empowered place and one of stronger confidence and self-belief that you can actually move forward with. Now, if you are looking for what's next, I wanted to really just share with you something very interesting that most of the people I work with don't come to me because they're failing or it's not something they started and then it hasn't worked out. They usually come to me because they're doing everything right and it's no longer working. They've outgrown this role that they initially set out to do, and they've reached a plateau where they're almost working in a mechanical way, very reactive, just going in day after day, and often carrying too much or trying to fix things that they shouldn't really be involved in and feeling burnt out by that and looking for someone to help them redefine and capture their essence, pull it all together and get them into a new role. And interestingly, the last few months, I've had a number of people come to me who have been on, verge of being losing their jobs and very worried, of course, and worried about maybe not having the right qualifications to move into something new, or perhaps not having the confidence. And one woman in particular comes to mind, and she came to me. She's in production here in Los Angeles, and she was really worried about losing her job. She's been in her job for 25 years, very, very good at it, amazing contacts, incredible transferable skills that she didn't think she had. And we worked for at least 8 or 9 weeks to start with. We were booked for 12 weeks. But within that 8 week period, with the coaching that we did, she got offers. She started getting headhunted because we worked together to shift her mindset, build her confidence, and get very clear on her purpose and her mission statement of what she was able to provide and the solutions that she was able to bring, role play those, and create a new LinkedIn page and even in mails and also a resume and website that truly reflected who she was. And within 8 weeks, she got job offers and then she actually doubled her income by doing that. And so there are many women and men like that I work with who have been able to really take the program that I offer and move forward with it in such a practical, natural flowing way that it becomes something very natural for them to do and isn't a ton of work. It's just seeing yourself in a new way. And that's what I want to do today. I want to show you how to reconnect to your true value beyond what you're doing now, help you to identify those successful patterns that you've had in the past, and then use them to create your next step without, starting over. And then how to move forward with more clarity and confidence and in a more sustainable way. So let's look at the reality of your situation right now. You know you're capable, you know you're experienced, and you've built something solid over the years, of course. And yet, deep down, you're finding yourself doing more, and it isn't actually pulling you forward or getting you promoted or helping you feel fulfilled in the way that you want. And this is what happens to high-performing people. You carry more than you should, and you're over-delivering without being able to translate this into a growth pattern. And before you can move forward with a new direction, you must get honest about what you've outgrown and stop forcing yourself to thrive in spaces that no longer serve you and that maybe you're feeling stretched, burnt out, or unfulfilled in. Maybe you've become the reliable one that everyone goes to for the answers, and you stay longer in a role because you're familiar with it. You feel confident in it, and yet perhaps not so fulfilled, and know that you're carrying too much and you may not be getting paid for it or even recognize it. So, you start to question what your next move actually looks like. What would that move look like for you? And what most of us do is we get reactive. We jump onto our resumes to update them. We maybe would look at our businesses and decide to rebrand them. And we start to look for that something new, but we're not quite sure what that is. Now, the problem with this approach is that you can make the change. Sure, go ahead, do it. But the feelings can still remain where you feel unsure. Maybe you feel a bit heavy about the decision you're making. And you might question if it's really right for you if you do get that job. Now, the real issue here isn't the role or the business that you've moved into. It's because you're in survival mode versus intentional direction. Survival mode is your reactivity, fear-based. Let me go get a job right now. Let me just put a Band-Aid on this and we'll be fine. Versus intentional direction is what we're talking about today. That means, what is my purpose? What do I want to be fulfilled by? Where do I want to put my intention at work? What is the impact that I want to make? What is the solution that I want to bring? That is intentional direction. So rather than reacting, jumping into your resume and then going out there into the world to find something, it's much better long-term to come from a place of responding, okay? Recognizing you're carrying too much, recognizing you want to make a move, looking at, okay, what does this look like? And how much time am I going to invest looking at this, researching this, and understanding myself better so that I can find something that really fits. So rather than seeking external validation and defining your value by what you do, you start doing internal alignment, doing internal audits on how you operate and what your patterns of behavior are. And often we've lost connection with doing all of this because we've forgotten our why. What is my why behind my work and how I want to feel accomplished and how I want to feel fulfilled? And this is super important when you're looking for work. It's really important to find that environment that really aligns with your values. Now, this happens to us in terms of forgetting our why because we've been carrying too much. We're the one people rely on. We step in all the time and we always make things work. And over time, this has become our normal. And you get used to doing what's needed, not what actually fits you anymore. So when it comes to changing direction, it's really not clear what you should be doing because you're exhausted. And you've rewired your brain with a regular repetition of doing the same behavior, jumping in, fixing, let's say, carrying too much, to believe this new normal that you're in to be normal. Well, you can change it. And as you start to think about your new direction, it's important to remember, as I said, it doesn't start outside of you, it starts within, and it starts with recognizing the patterns of behavior that you have and then changing them, and really recognizing what your internal compass is. So what you're doing here in scientific terms, you're actually looking at the idea of neurochange, neuroplasticity. And this is where the brain rewires itself based on what you repeatedly think and do. So picking one consistent new thought creates new automatic behaviors over time. So this might look like, for example, at work, you might be the one, I need to fix everything that no one else in the team is doing. They don't see the gaps here, and I can jump in and fix them, as well as doing your own projects. The new pattern of behavior would be, I am staying focused and on track with my projects, and I make positive suggestions for change, and then surrender the fact that other people can also move forward with that. You see that? So it's setting boundaries for yourself. It's really recognizing what your tendency is to do. It could be people pleasing, really not setting enough boundaries for yourself at work and there till 10 or 11 o'clock at night. I had one CEO I was working with who, wanted to see all her staff who had questions and wasn't getting home till like 11 o'clock at night after a 2-hour drive. And suddenly realized she could do the calls from her car, and it didn't matter so much that they weren't always in person. So that was a new boundary, very small, but something that worked for her. She got home at a reasonable hour, and she still felt that she was able to connect with her staff. So changing these behaviors is super important. And finding your purpose, okay? Purpose gives you an edge. It becomes your direction instead of guessing. It becomes your track. It becomes the reason behind what you're doing. And it's here to help you make an impact. And your purpose is tied in with your values, the difference you bring, and the fulfillment that you need. So without it, you can stay busy, busy, busy. You can be pivoting, adjusting, second guessing all the time, but really not achieving much. So having a purpose is something that I truly believe in as I'm working in my coaching with my clients to help them define what I call their unique brilliance, their mission statement for themselves that really aligns with their essence and who they are and what they are here in the world to do. And science has shown us that when you have purpose, there are 3 main psychological benefits of it. One is the increased well-being, greater satisfaction and confidence. Positive emotions can come from having more purpose in your life. There's a sense of resilience. You're able to manage stress better. You recognize why you're here. There's more optimism and hope, and you don't give up when things get difficult. And then the third thing is your negativity really decreases when you realize why you're here and what you're here to do and the impact you're here to make. There's less depression and less anxiety. So you can see having purpose, whatever you do in the world, is fundamental to your success and the next foundation and direction, that you are going to move into. So you'll find that you get clear on decision making. It's easier to communicate with others. And as you know who you are, identify honestly patterns that might be holding you back. You get to know your superpower and you embody and leverage it, and it helps you build confidence and self-belief to move into that direction that you care so passionately about. Now, I hear from clients sometimes, oh my gosh, that seems so much. How am I going to do that? Well, you can hire a therapist, you can hire a coach. My work is unique because I work on purpose. I work on defining limiting patterns and giving you holistic methods on how to break free of them before we build out your purpose, build out that career, go get that career, and make sure it aligns with your values and who you are. Now, you can do it that way, and you can do it on your own. Some of the pointers I'm giving you today, you can actually sit with and perhaps apply immediately to your situation, at least start thinking about what, these perspectives that I'm giving you and how you could implement them. So building success in your world, at work and personally, starts with self-belief and acknowledging your purpose, acknowledging your strengths and talents. You are unique, and not waiting for external validation to build you up, trusting who you are, trusting the successes that you've had, and that you are capable of achieving your goals, all right? Understanding what your low-hanging fruit is. And purpose becomes your direction, okay? So I call it purpose and flow. When you have your purpose, you know what you're at, you know what you want to accomplish and what you're here to do, it's easier to be in flow where you can be in total immersement in a project. And I'm sure some of you have felt this, where you'll look at the clock and suddenly it's 6 o'clock and you started at 9. And where did the time go? Because you are in total flow, total immersed in what you love doing. And wouldn't that be fantastic to have that every day? Jump out of bed, feel excited about what you're moving into, helping others, making a difference, getting paid, and feeling fulfilled at the same time. So how do we do this? These are our notes that I want to run through with you. So I want you to grab a pen and paper. Again, you can download these on the Pivot Clarity checklist that I have on my website at nicolasalter.com. Let's start with naming what no longer fits you, okay? It's always easier to start with what is not working rather than sitting with what do I want. It's easier to go there because the brain is wired to more of the negative emotions than is positive. So ask yourself, what part of my role, identity, or environment even is feeling misaligned? Like, what part of you is feeling misaligned right now? And what are you tolerating or performing just to keep up with others? High functioning discomfort is still discomfort. Okay, even at leadership level, we can have discomfort. And growth often begins with naming the truth you've been avoiding. Now, it could be that I know when I was in the corporate world in London, I would go up in the elevator at the office, I would step out of the elevator, and I would feel sick. And lovely people, great place to work, but there was something that was off. And looking back at it, it was the absolute workload that I was carrying that was too much for me. And I was carrying too much. And I was always willing, always eager, but that sense of dread and anticipation showed up as nausea. So really be honest with yourself about what is going on here. Okay. Now, when you start looking at this in a deeper level, you'll also now look at pinpointing the pattern you are ready to break. What is the pattern, one pattern right now that you keep repeating? Perhaps it's playing small. Perhaps it's, I can't leave the salary behind. How can I leave the salary behind? Or I need another qualification to be able to do a new job or get promoted. Well, maybe you don't. Maybe that's the story you've told yourself to keep you safe so you don't have to move on. Or maybe you do, and you really do know that you need another qualification. And are you going to take that on? Is that something you're going to do? So really look at the patterns that you're ready to break when you're actually at work and also your thinking process. Watch yourself really carefully. It's like a form of self-therapy. Redefine what fulfillment looks like for you. So what energizes you? What values or parts of yourself have you been suppressing in order to succeed? Maybe you say yes to a person that you happen to disagree with all the time and don't put your point across. Maybe that's holding you back and having you carry too much or feeling stuck. And when was the last time you got excited by what you were building? When was the last time? So really look at what fulfillment looks like to you before you then move into the traditional inventory of transferable powers that you have. That's what I call it, those transferable powers where you're not starting over, you're graduating. You're starting differently. Your legacy is not lost. It's just being repositioned, okay? And what parts of your career have you loved? Maybe you love mentoring or coaching people. Maybe you love the selling, maybe the marketing. As importantly, what do people more consistently come to you for? Okay, what is it that they come to you for beyond your title and resume? Look at some of the questions you get asked on a daily basis. People perhaps feel more comfortable around you. They can share things with you in difficulties. Look at that very carefully and, how much guidance you give, how much strategy you can offer. So many tools that you have that you're probably unaware of that would be part of your transferable powers that could be used in your next job. Now, remember as well that your past successes are also a thread and a key to where you could go next and what you could bring. And I also want you to think of yourself as a solution provider. When you put that hat on of solution provider, you become almost like a consultant for a business. And employers want to see that you're thinking that way. You might be a number cruncher, but you also bring more than that. You're part of the team. You enjoy providing solutions and enjoy building the company up, the environment that you're in, so that they can accomplish their bottom line, right? And their success that they're looking for, and that you are really excited to be part of that team. So today I want you to declare your first step, all right? Your first brave step. You don't need a perfect plan, but I want you to look at what you can do as forward motion. Clarity often comes after the first move that we take, not before. So what is one small, clear action that you could take this month? And maybe it's looking at your patterns of behavior. Maybe it's breaking down your inventory, your transferable powers. And what support do you need to help make this easier? Do you need a mentor, a coach, a friend, therapist? Who is it that can actually support you through this process? So with takeaway number one, I'm encouraging you to no longer need to prove your amazing capacity and what you can do. I want you to reconnect to a true value beyond your current role. Look at the impact, the circles of impact that you bring. Not just the day-to-day and what you're producing, but what you consistently bring. Your thinking, your strengths, your impact. What 3 things do you do naturally and that others come to you for? Takeaway number 2, identify your patterns, your past successes, and use them to shape what's next. And these experiences you've had are not random. They're unique to you, even though you might feel fragmented right now. There are clear threads in your background where you have done your best work. And when you see these properly, you don't need to start over. You just need to see differently as you look at your strengths across roles and how you solve problems. So again, we've got some practical how-to steps for pivoting with confidence. I mentioned earlier self-auditing. I want you to start looking at those transferable skills from past roles that you've had and how they could be applied to new industries, platforms, service models, and looking at those service models or platforms that you would quite like to align with and play with it for a while. Be curious. Adventure in this. Look at different types of industries that appeal to you and align with your belief system and your values and what's important to you. Look at those transferables in terms of, will they really meet my craving for freedom, let's say, or creativity? Maybe you have a craving for recognition too. So write out what your transferables are, but also align them with what your values are in terms of where you want to feel fulfilled. Explore without pressure. As I said, try and get curious, go and volunteer somewhere or be a consult or join groups. Enjoy playing with this and note what energizes you. To do this, redesigning your week, right? Carving out at least 2 hours in your week to do your research for your pivot, doing courses, story writing, or envisioning time is really important. This is your time to envision and create investment in you without being busy and getting really serious about what your next steps are. as you would for working for a company. You see yourself as the organization and how you want to lead that organization, which is you. All right. Nurturing self-care is the next one on the list. Now, this is super important. I know when I was in the corporate world, watching everyone get burnt out and overwhelmed with crazy deadlines and priorities, especially in advertising and PR, was the norm. And I learned very quickly that if I didn't do some self-care, I would burn out very quickly and not be able to work. So it's an investment again in terms of taking care of yourself. Could be massage, walking, meditation, energy work, anything that's holistic and is an easy extension of who you are. Maybe taking more time at the weekends to do your favorite hobbies. Ensure that you do self-care. And we all know that leadership now encourages meditation. To well-known leaders do meditation to build their resiliency. Breath work, for example, some people roll their eyes at, but it's scientifically proven, combined with the feeling of gratitude, to actually help you communicate better and become less reactive. So look into nurture and self-care. It's part of the coaching that I do. It's part of the package that I offer, where I teach you a couple of methods which are very proven scientifically to help reduce stress, build more resiliency, and reduce overwhelm and anxiety. Very quick methods that go beyond just breath work. Build your support system. As I said earlier, it's important to do that in terms of getting people around you who you care about and you trust to help you stay accountable and create that pivot portfolio. What that is a document with your ideas in it. It could be a journal about what you want, what you're thinking. It could be a Canva board. It could be a slide deck, playbook, an envisioning board that's a big whiteboard that you have in your office or at home, where you keep all your ideas and dreams on, from the vacations you want, how you want to live your life, to the typical type of job that you would love to have, keywords that motivate you, things you've noticed about yourself. Keep that up in line where you can see it, because research has shown us that when you see something, of course it goes straight to the brain, has more of an impact in terms of helping you stay accountable and committed to making the change on a consistent basis so that you can achieve your goals. And then we've got investing in a guided framework for change. So that could be courses, workshops, coaching, someone who can help you in your blind spot discovery, right? And like, why did you do that? What were you thinking when you just said that? What was going on? I'd encourage you to perhaps reword that and do it differently. So these are just some of the steps that you could choose one of to start with and resonate now, as you've seen these up on the screen, which one really does resonate with you? Where are you willing to start investing before you actually make this pivot? So takeaway number 3 is redesigning how you work so that you can move forward with more clarity and confidence. And the shift isn't about doing more, people. This is about doing less, all right? But accomplishing more. It's not about how you work and not just what you do. It's the energy of investment and intention behind that, of what you want to accomplish and where you want to put your focus, okay? So not just what you do, it's about designing how you work with intention. So, as I've said earlier, doing more and keeping busy and thinking that's going to get you a promotion is often what keeps you stuck. Stepping back and working for more clarity and not urgency, responding instead of reacting, and creating space to think will actually be a good investment of your time long term for making the right choices for yourself. Now, I say this over and over again to everybody. You are the expert. And I know sometimes people get worried about that word expert and feel nervous. You are the expert. You are the authority of your own life. You are the expert in your life. You are the authority in your life. And when you really connect to who you are and your strengths and the patterns, the positive patterns that you have in your past successes, you start to redesign how you work because you understand the depth of that statement, being the authority, the master, if you like, to create what it is that's important to you rather than being reactive and following along with what everyone else wants. So it helps you to feel more confident, helps you to improve your self-worth and attract those better opportunities rather than just keep ticking boxes. Remember that redesigning how you work, as I keep saying, not just what you do, holds and your past successes hold the clues, the keys to your future direction and where you can be going. Ultimately, you are the solution provider. And I'm hoping that today you will grab that and sit with it and retrain your brain because what fires together, wires together. So new belief patterns that you have in terms of, oh, I'm a solution provider. All right. I bring solutions to the table, helps create a new neural pathway in your brain that becomes a new belief pattern. All right. So what wires together, what fires together, sorry, wires together. So what fires together, constant new thoughts becomes a new wiring in your brain of a belief pattern that eventually, over a period of time, it can be anything up to 270 days if you do it consistently. As I said earlier, breaking away from that limiting belief and then replacing it with something more positive. I get to go to work today. I get to go to this meeting. I'm excited to blah, blah, all right? Be the solution provider and retrain your brain into this new way of thinking also helps you to get clear on the new directions that you want to make and where and how you want to pivot. Okay, I'm really happy that I've been able to do this today and to jump in front of everybody. If you would like to schedule a discovery call with me and go over the pivot clarity checklist that's on my website, please feel free to do so. You can download the checklist at nicolasalter.com and also set up a discovery call with me then. We'll spend 30 minutes together. We'll go through the form together. I'm going to help give you some ideas and perspectives in terms of how you can pivot. I'll also give you some information on the reDEFINE yourself coaching, what it involves, and your return on investment, how I can get you from A to B in a relatively short period of time and get you to where you are in a position where you are working in alignment with your values, feeling more fulfilled, creating a sustained direction that you can monetize, and building something that really is very exciting. So if you feel that you would like to do more of this, I would very much like to meet with you. And so don't hesitate to reach out and let's get together and discuss where you're at, where you'd like to be, perhaps where you're stuck, and I can give you some tools for that. All right. Thank you very much for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.